on that later on in this episode. We'll touch on that and a bit of football, some rugby, and some Formula One. I'm willing to offer a reward for anyone who can help me mute Chelsea from our WhatsApp. I get it. We lost at Stamford Bridge against Spurs. I don't think I can get any more text, any more banter. It's done.
CONTE is a dead man walking. I think we've kind of seen it over the past couple of weeks. I think he's lost a number of big games, which are kind of 6-pointers.
He hasn't won in the last 10 games against big teams.
Yeah.
He's won 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
No, he's struggled. He's struggled definitely. I mean, whoa. For me, I was almost this close to comparing him to Arsene Wenger because I mean it's the same caliber coaching style. It's the same caliber football style.
But it's
if
also,
I may call
for
it
him
that.
now at the moment, it's also a denial. He's not going anywhere. He's adamant. But I think
Which seems to be a thing now.
Abramovich will fire you. I think Chelsea fans,
I
Chelsea
think there's
managers,
a very, 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 I guess, simple trend you can follow with Chelsea. As a manager, you come in, you win a league, you win a couple of titles. The following season becomes a bit of a struggle, and then you're out. You know, we saw it with Mourinho in his first spell. We saw it with Carlo Ancelotti. Yeah. We saw it with we're seeing with CONTE now.
Can the FA Cup save him?
No, I don't think so.
So if we don't make top 4 but win the FA Cup, will that not save him?
CONTE, I just cannot see a scenario where CONTE is at Chelsea next season. I can't see it.
It seems to be a thing with the players mostly.
Yeah. Players in the change room do have that power. As much as we want to deny it, is that a group of 4 of you can chat about it. It's not about talking about losing a game or anything, but if we 5 don't like a certain coach, that's 5 out of the change room of 16.
That
17.
is terrible. That is
it
really
is terrible,
terrible.
but it is the way it is.
No, but it shouldn't be that way. That when players, 5 or 4 players, feel that no, guys, we don't like this guy because of whatever reasons we might have, but now this affects the team. This affects the club. You start losing.
You saw it with Mourinho in the same Chelsea.
That's what I'm saying. Because now, when Mourinho lost the change room, I think they lost something like 4 or 5 games in a row.
That's it, yeah.
But now CONTE is facing the same thing because of how many players in the change room that don't like him. Now, how do you come back from that? Now it means you must get another coach.
But it's also a combination of you losing the change room, correct? And also guys are losing. It's not fun losing. Hazard's body language hasn't been great for a couple of weeks because he's losing. As a player of his caliber,
it's because his mentality is already on a negative mode. I mean, how do you come from winning a league and then now this year you can be this crap? How does that work? For me, it doesn't make sense. For me personally,
you've got to have a certain level of character as a manager, even from day one, to kind of be able to, I guess, discern which players are the ones that have the potential to disrupt. You know what I mean? And you've got to almost isolate those players at key moments. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the things that some of the older managers were able to do really, really well. Listen, I think CONTE hasn't done himself favors, and I think it starts with things like the way he dealt with the Costa situation. I think that was essentially the beginning of the downfall.
Definitely.
Because Diego Costa clearly was very popular in the Chelsea dressing room, and the way that it was done, I think you need to be able to identify the type of response you may get from a certain player. And he will have known those players over 12 months. Diego Costa was exactly the type of player who was not going to keep this a secret. He literally went out to the media and said this is what happened. This is how Chelsea are trying to get rid of me. They've essentially sent me an SMS. And CONTE has not recovered from that situation. He lost the battle against the boardroom in terms of the transfers that he wanted. And from then, it's just consistently snowballed over a couple of months. Yes, they've had good results, but ultimately, I don't feel as though he recovered from that situation.
Do you think CONTE was more powerful than the coach himself? Costa.
In that situation, I think initially Conte had the power because you've just won a league title.
Fair.
And obviously that's why he was brought in. He was brought in to win the league back. And he delivered. And he delivered, I guess, a little bit unexpectedly, but at the end of the day, he delivered. And at that point in time, he had the power. But I guess he picked on the wrong player as far as I'm concerned. You can do that to a number of players, try and force them out of a football club, and they may not take it to, I guess, the media. The first thing Diego Costa did was to advise the media that this is the way that Chelsea are treating me. And from that moment, he was a victim. And like I say,
but for footballers, isn't there like a code of conduct?
Understanding there is, but when you're ousted like that and you know you're not coming back, Costa knew he wasn't coming back.
Exactly.
So he's been ousted. You know you're not coming back. You've got nothing to lose. He'd rather not play football like he did and be in the gym than go back to Chelsea. That's how bad it was.
Exactly. I mean, you look at someone like Bastian Schweinsteiger, for instance, at Manchester United. Jose Mourinho came in. He made him train with the reserves. I mean, this is a World Cup winner. This guy's won the World Cup.
But he was like 8 years old.
He's won. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that's the player. That's the caliber of the player. And he could have easily gone to the media and said, this is how Manchester United are treating me. And Mourinho
I hear you.
Bastian Schweinsteiger hasn't had a single negative thing to say about either Jose Mourinho or Manchester United.
Character of the man.
Maybe behind the scenes, he may think, these guys took me for a bit of a fool. And I don't like that because I'm the player that I am.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he did not go public with it as far, and that's the big difference. And I think that's a player who understands the code of conduct a lot better than someone like a Diego Costa does. Cool.
Right, let's leave the blues of Stamford Bridge and go up north to Liverpool. Now, I want your take on this, gents, is that Salah is probably going to be the league's top goal scorer. But it always is a question around sporting bodies and sporting banter. Where does it sit when you have the guy scoring the most goals, but he hasn't contributed anything? You're not a Champions League winner. You're not a league winner either. So you get a guy, same as cricket, a guy can go out and score 150 and you're on the losing side. You've lost the match. So where does it sit? We'll applaud it because it's going to break the record.
For me personally, with Liverpool, they must stop selling their players. They must try and keep a squad. Of course, they must surround him with all the good players around him. I mean, I look back at the year Liverpool won the Champions League back in 2005, and you look where those players went after that, from Real Madrid, and they carried on winning. They went to Barcelona and they carried on winning. Because now the thing is, they've got the experience. I mean, it's like Jose Mourinho said in one of his interviews. I think something about football intellect or something along those lines, talking about how these experienced players have won the Champions League and they move on to play for better players, Barcelona and Real Madrid. But then they continue with that experience because now you put them up against anyone, they've got the experience of Champions League. So all of that for me needs to happen at Liverpool for them to continue to actually to have a Salah winning trophies.
I think you've hit the nail. You've hit the nail on the head there, because ultimately you have to understand context, right? And I guess Mohamed Salah's come into a team that is a top 4 team. You know, Liverpool have always been a top 4 team under Jurgen Klopp, but they haven't necessarily taken that next step, and it goes back to losing key players at crucial times. And even now, there's been rumours of potentially Salah going to Real Madrid as an example. And if you allow that type of, I guess, culture to happen, it's going to hinder on your ability to deliver on the really big things, because good squads win big trophies.
Thank you.
Individuals don't win. They don't win the biggest things in football. It's a squad that's going to win you a Champions League and a league. Yes, you may win a Champions League because you're focused on it and you're not doing really well in the league. But ultimately, if you want to maintain or sustain success over a period of time, you've got to keep your best players. That at the very least, you've got to keep your best players.
Right, guys, we've got Man City versus United. I need you to give me one word that describes the mood in that stadium when that happens, because it's all but done.
If you want one word, it's going to be festive at the Etihad.
No, definitely.
If they get the 3 points.
I can't give you a word. I need to watch Liverpool and Man City on Wednesday first. I need to see how the mood will be from there. If City destroy Liverpool, then they take in the league on Saturday.
All right, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Pila's got his predictions for the weekend, but I've got my money on Man City winning the league versus United.